Hallelujah. Hello, and thank you so much for taking the time out to listen as well as watch. Today we are continuing talking about the Judas. Some of you discovered who your Judas is in your circle. Others, you have yet to find out. We are going to talk about the Judas who you have discovered and how to deal with this backstabber. Basically, we know that Judas was among the disciples. He was a disciple who turned on Jesus. We're going to go over to the Bible in this particular audio message. There are a number of Bible verses where we talk about Satan and how he is a deceiver. Okay? We know that Satan puts people up to doing many things. We also know that people have their weaknesses within them that move on them to do the dirt that they do to others. Okay? So when you discover that a trusted friend turned on you, when you discover that a family member no longer is dealing with you because they're going along with what others have said, who happen to be backstabbers, negative, and downright dirty, it hurts. It absolutely hurts. Satan is a deceiver. In 2 Corinthians 11:3, it says, "But I am afraid that as the serpent deceived Eve by his craftiness, your minds will be led astray from the simplicity and purity of devotion to Christ." So why is Judas there? Why is the backstabber there? Why is the gossip, or whatever you want to call this person? Why are they in your life? Why did they even bother to deal with you? Simply put, their job is to distract you, to take you away from your calling, take you away from your relationship with Christ, take you out of your marriage, take you out of that role as a parent, knock you off of the totem pole at the workplace. That is their job, to destroy you, to ultimately destroy you. Mind, body, spirit, finances, what have you. You are a target. Okay? So, when we know who the Judas is, we've got to be able to stand up to this Judas, okay? Some Judases we don't need to be bothered with because they're going to hang themselves. That's what Judas did, right? But there are other Judases that they're hard. They're hard to get rid of because there are ties to these Judases, okay? Once again, the Judas that we're speaking of is someone who is being friendly to you at this time, but later on they're going to turn against you. And some of you all have seen signs. Okay, they've said some weird things. They're treating you differently. All before they were okay with you. They were, being of service, but something is funky in the atmosphere. Okay, so we're not talking about somebody who has no connection to you and they just suddenly start doing something crazy. We're not talking about that. We're talking about people who have a connection to you, but then they turn on you. Okay, and some of you all discovered who those Judases or a Judas is in your circle. Okay, now the backstabber, because Judas, part of being a Judas is you got to be a backstabber. Okay, you are friendly, but then you turn around and you stab somebody in the back with the words, with the evil speaking, with the deception, with the manipulation, with the power and control, all of that. Not to say that any of you all who are listening are guilty, but some folks that you know are. As you can see on your screen, a perverse man spreads strife, and a slanderer separates intimate friends. Okay? Now, it's one thing when you know the facts, and the facts are that there is a Judas. The Judas has demonstrated that he or she cannot be trusted. There has been evidence and proof. But a person who just assumes, a person who has an opinion, a person who takes a little bit of information and runs with it, we call that type of person a gossip, okay? You don't have any facts. You're just going around saying whatever about whoever. That's different. Too many people will say things like so and so's a gossip. just because they don't like what's coming out of a person's mouth. Okay? That's not a gossip. The dictionary definition says casual or unconstrained conversation or reports about other people, typically involving details that are not confirmed as being true. I have a background in journalism and communications, and one of the things that we learned early on was to get as many facts as possible, to interview as many people as possible in order to put the story together. Okay? So there is no coming up with something off the top of your head when you're putting together a news story. You are finding out the who, the what, the when, the where, the how, the why. And if you can't find out certain information immediately, you just give yourself some time, you do some research. Sometimes the information falls in your lap. Those are the best stories because somebody has an in. You usually want somebody who was there, somebody who knows that person. You know, that is who you're after. You don't go off on just what you feel, right? Okay. But Judas doesn't like you, let's say. And Judas goes on what he feels or she feels about you, even though the information that Judas has is not accurate or it's not valid or it's filled with his opinion, okay, or her opinion. So there's this conversation that takes place about you. Just goes over to the circle and starts talking about what he or she observed or thinks. Or, well, this person, I don't think they'll make a good manager. I don't think this person will make a good employee, or I don't think that this person will be helpful. That's what Judas does. Why would Judas even do that? Because Judas is looking to elevate his or herself. Okay? Now, I'm using the name Judas because, of course, we don't want to use real names. But Judas wants to elevate his or herself. And in order to do that, Judas has to talk to anybody who has itching ears to hear the gossip that's coming off of his or her mouth. Well, when she last worked here, when he was a part of the club, when she was helping out, when he was being of service, here's what I saw, right? Maybe factual, maybe not, maybe exaggerated. Once again, a person who wants to elevate his or herself, a person who wants to draw others near, a person who wants to make sure that you don't get close to another individual who may have been speaking positively about you. They will create tension, a climate that doesn't trust you, paint this picture that you're untrustworthy, that you're evil, that you're manipulative, you're abusive, because these are all the things that really describe that person. Okay? Sometimes I wonder why the Lord Jesus, puts me through some of these trials offline. Why it is sometimes that the Lord reveals who my Judas or Judases are. And then I think a little more deeply and I realize it's because I am dealing with people in a network who have their share of enemies, and they want somebody who's bold enough to talk about their enemies without all of the fluff, without all of the let's just be positive and let's just handle things in a watered down sort of way. There are those who want fighters, people who's willing to fight, people who's willing to expose, right? So in order for me to talk like this, I've got to go through my share of fires. And lately I've been seeing some foolishness. People don't know that I know. People don't know that they've been speaking some, or they don't know that I know that they've been speaking some negative things about me. It's unfortunate that when you are, dare we say it, a minority in an atmosphere, there are always going to be those who are going to fault find. There are those who look at you closer than everybody else. If you make a mistake, your mistake, as one woman said, it's like the end of the world. You did the worst thing, but They can make their share of mistakes. They can say all of the negative things that they say. They get away with all sorts of things. And usually, us who are mature, us who are not the gossips and the slanderers and looking to take over somebody's position, being a conqueror, we don't go around talking about everybody and what everybody's up to. But we'll get falsely accused of the very things that those people are doing. Okay? So some individuals think that, some of us, we were born yesterday, but I always see the Judas of a woman, the Judas of a man at every workplace. And I always see the weak people, or the ones who have the itching ears, who are like, oh, what? Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, yeah. And then those are the ones who usually, unfortunately, are won over. These are the ones who formulate their negative opinions about you based on hearsay, based on what somebody told them. But meanwhile, they're not going to come up out of their comfort zone to get to know you. So it is what it is. Is that a battle that we should be fighting? The only time you want to battle that individual who is discrediting you, who is elevating his or herself by fault finding or finding something negative to talk about concerning you, is if you want their position. If you want a spot, a permanent spot, then you can fight tooth and nail, and you ask that the blood covering of Jesus be upon you. You go to your heavenly Father and you just lift that person's name up to him and let God deal with that negative person who is really the gossip but accuses you of being a gossip, who's really the slanderer, who's really an agent for Satan. Okay? So I've been accused of many things, and I tell you that I don't lose sleep over what people say about me, because God told me a long time ago they hated Jesus and they're going to hate you too. Okay? So after a while, when you're used to the battles, when you're used to the covert as well as overt strategies that people use to discredit you, to make you look like you don't know what you're doing, or you're a fool, or or whatever they want to paint a picture, or they know you're smart, but they look at you as being a threat, you get used to the foolishness and you just allow the Lord to deal with them. And that he does. Trust you me. I don't say things just to say them. I know for a fact that he deals with people. Now, we talked about this perverse man who's spreading strife, and that is part of what Judas the backstabber does. Let's get a little update or a little refresher of Judas, the man who's in the Bible. Luke 22:48 says, but Jesus said to him, okay, Jesus knew his Judas, like some of you all. Judas, are you betraying the Son of Man with a kiss? Okay? Sometimes Judas does not talk negatively about you to others. Not at all. Sometimes Judas is not confronting you. Judas isn't picking up a phone. Judas isn't showing up. But Judas may kiss you with a gift. Judas may kiss you through someone else, right? A son, a daughter. Give him a kiss for me, right? Judas may give you something ever so nice, something you may not be able to afford. But what is the catch? Okay? I'm coming where some of you all are. What is the catch? The birthday, the Father's Day, the Mother's Day. Something's a little bit off. You have every right to question what's up. Matthew 26:14 through 16 says, then one of the 12, named Judas Iscariot, went to the chief priests and said, what are you willing to give me to betray him to you? And they weighed out 30 pieces of silver to him. From then on, he began looking for a good opportunity to betray Jesus. Okay? Money's involved here. He was looking for a good opportunity to betray Jesus. Now, this is one of Jesus's followers. Okay? You've got individuals who are willing to do just about anything just about anything, to take something or someone from you. I'm seeing somebody's best friend always coming over to the house, but she's got her eye on somebody's husband. I'm seeing it in the spirit right now. You got to mind who you open your door to. Psalm 37:12, the wicked plots against the righteous and gnashes at him with his teeth. Listen again, Psalm 37:12, the wicked, okay, that Judas of a man or a woman, plots against the righteous. At the workplace, you could be the one that's doing things by the book, but they don't like that about you. So they plot and gnashes at him with his teeth. Sometimes when people get angry, they grit their teeth. They gnash at you. You see, it looks crazy, don't it? But when it shows up, especially when the demons are at work, it metamorphoses the person's face. Sometimes you'll see it just real quick, and then it goes away. That's those demons working in that individual. You're not crazy when you see that little glimpse of something real dark, real evil, and then the person's face, it comes back into his or her own. God is revealing, he's showing you who you're messing with, who you're connected to, who you're working with. It's like, you see, or it just comes over that person real quick. They're being real sweet and nice, and then you see, it's crazy. It's like the face does something strange, right? You only see it though. Nobody else does. You just give God the praise. Your Judas was just revealed. Romans 1:30 through 32, slanderers, haters of God. Okay? Now these people are people that we pay attention to. Slanderers, haters of God, insolent, arrogant, right? Many of you, we talked about the narcissist. Boastful, inventors of evil, disobedient to parents, without understanding, untrustworthy, unloving, unmerciful. And although they know the ordinance of God, right? So all of these people, they do know God. They know rules. They know some type of moral principles related to the one true God, right? They know. But yet they're all of what we described. That those who practice such things are worthy of death. This is Bible now. They not only do the same, but also give hearty approval to those who practice them. This is who you're dealing with. When we get into the specifics of who Judas is, I just laid it out for you. Okay? Any of you all who listened to the other audio about Judas being among you, some folks needed some character traits. Here you are. They're slanderers, haters of God, insolent, arrogant, boastful, inventors of evil, disobedient to parents, without understanding, untrustworthy, unloving, unmerciful. And although they know the ordinance of God, that those who practice such things are worthy of death, they not only do the same, but also give hearty approval to those who practice them. That's the type of people that we're dealing with in these last days. So you're not going crazy. You're not stupid. You're not anything that these people have said, whether they joked about it or whether they were mean-spirited and said it in the most ornery way. You see the truth for what it is. Now, what you going to do about it? You see the Judas. But are you going to sit down with people like this? Are you going to continue to open up your door? Are you going to continue to sit on the phone with people like this? Are you going to continue to go in your pocket and give them money? Are you going to be the one that continues to sleep with someone like this? Or continue with your plans to marry? You're in for a world of hurt if you do. Proverbs 20:20. He who curses his father or his mother, his lamp will go out in time of darkness. Some of you all, you got friends who don't mind cussing and fussing around their mother or to their mother's face. There are those that'll do the same with the father. And you'll think, well, that's just them doing that to their parents. But they wouldn't do that to me because I'm cool with them. It's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time that you're going to have a falling out with somebody behind what they said to you. They were disrespectful to those who brought them into the world. What you think they're going to do to you over time? I remember watching a mother and daughter and the smart mouth sort of things that were going on. Okay? And over time, she ended up having her smart mouth ways with other people as well. You got to watch, see? It's those subtle things, It's those things that we don't really pay close attention to. We're thinking, well, it's just conversation, or it's just this person having a bad day, or they wouldn't do that to me because I never said anything to hurt them. I mean, they wouldn't be mean with me, and then lo and behold, if they're not mean with you. Disrespectful, angry, bitter, resentful with other people, and then eventually it comes around on you. Judas is among you. Proverbs 20:19, he who goes about as a slanderer reveals secrets. Therefore, do not associate with the gossip. What type of secrets are we talking about? Any type of secrets. Okay? There are some things that, as much as I would love to get into some details with some of you all, I can't, because God did not move on my spirit to get into some details. So that's why some of the messages, oh, she's talking in general, or she's not giving us as much detail as I would like, because sometimes the information that people give me, it would be too telling, and then therefore I would be revealing a secret. But what I can do is give you the type of information that is going to help you deal with the Judas that you might know. But right now, it's just a secret between you and God, because you are still trying to figure out what to do with this person. You see, how do I want to deal with them going forward? Because I done seen the metamorphosis, the good to the evil and back to the good again on their face. And I notice that they tend to be real foul toward their parents. And then there's been times where they were quite conceited and they bragged a lot, and there was just some evil that's making me feel some kind of way, but I don't want to reveal certain things yet. Hey, your secret is safe with God until you're ready to confront this person or oust them or get other people to help you get rid of them. You see, Proverbs 16:28, as we talked about earlier, I won't repeat that one. You can see it on the screen. James 4:11, do not speak against one another. Okay, brethren, he who speaks against a brother, notice this is a brother, not Judas. We're talking about a brother who means you well, that's warning you about a Judas in this situation that I'm talking about. Okay, you don't want to speak against him. He's giving you the truth, right? I'm telling you the truth. You don't go around talking about, oh, she's nothing but a gossip, a slanderer, or this, that, and the other, because I'm revealing to you who the Judas is or what you need to look out for. See, that's how Satan messes with people's minds. There are deceivers that show up and say, I don't want you to say this. I don't want you to do this. I don't, all of this, but yet they want us to trust them. I'm not going to trust somebody who God showed me the truth about. I'm not going to sit up there and not warn people that there is a Judas that's among them. And God showed me this, and I'm supposed to just sit on the truth? No. But the devil, though, wants you to be out here telling lies, saying that everything is okay and all right, and everybody's going to be blessed, and, We're not in that season right now. We're in a season where we need to be discerning. We need to mind who we're talking to. We need to watch as well as pray. We need to watch out for our brothers and sisters who are very trusting of others. We got people who are going to befriend folks just so that they can get them into some trouble, just so that they can get some folks locked up, just so that they can get some people um, to give them certain monies, powers, whatever. And in order to get some things done, they've got to pretend like they like you, care about you, are going to do things for you. Okay? There's a movement of activity going on, and it looks friendly, it appears nice, they appear helpful, but in the end, they're nothing more than backstabbers, and they're going to turn on some people. I'm seeing just crowds and crowds of people with knives in their back. And the knives in their back are folks who are dressed in uniform that's doing it to them. But how would they get close enough for folks to stab them in the back? Because they trusted the Judases. The Judases are looking for some money. The Judases are looking for some power, some fame. And they're going to throw their own people under the bus. That's God moving me to speak. I told you I'm seeing crowds of people with knives in their backs. And it's my mother, though. It's my sister. It's my brother. It's my cousin. It's my uncle. They always want to throw up titles. They would never do me like this. As I said in the other audio, they just did. Lord Jesus. Satan is a deceiver, and he has spent an awful lot of time over centuries getting people to do his bidding. Revelation 12:9, and the great dragon was thrown down, the serpent of old, who is called the devil and Satan, who deceives the whole world. He was thrown down to the earth. We're walking on this earth, right? And his angels were thrown down with him. This wasn't just images that we saw in movies. This wasn't just older people talking to us. This is what the Bible says. This is what those of us who have been in heavy meditation and praying and fasting, we have received confirmation. This isn't gossip. This is facts. And when we see people freaking out, and when we see people doing the unthinkable, and when we see people who are just bent over from just grief, I can't believe she did this to me. I can't believe he hurt me like this. I can't believe he threw the whole family under the bus like this. I can't believe this. What kind of person is this, right? Devil, Satan, puts people up to doing some wicked things. But that's okay, because see, there's an abyss, and he's going to be thrown into it along with everybody else that's been working with him. Now, we know that when we find out that somebody has hurt us and hurt us bad, and they're a Judas, sometimes there's a temptation to want to do some things. This is what you don't want to do. Matthew 6:13, and do not lead us into temptation, okay, but deliver us from evil. You don't want to turn into Satan. You don't want to do satanic types of things to pay that Judas back. I mean, if anything, Satan's going to win. And those that wanted you to lose, they're going to be in support of all sorts of evil, especially when they're jealous of you. Oh yeah, go ahead on over there and tell him about his ugly self. Matter of fact, take your gun, take your knife, take whatever you need, and meanwhile, they're hoping that you end up in jail so that somebody can comfort somebody's husband, so that somebody can go up into somebody's house and claim everything that's up in there while you're in jail. You got to think ahead. You got to think ahead. All right. Some of you all, I know it hurts when you start thinking deeply about these things, because you say, now it makes sense. The little stories they came up with, the little false accusations, turning things on you. pointing a finger at other people when they were really the Judas. Lord Jesus. Thank you, Lord. And then forgiveness isn't weakness. Forgiveness is for those individuals who truly have confessed their sin and repented. And I'm so sorry that I turned on you like this, but I was under pressure. You know, my mama put me up to it, my daddy or whoever. Okay. And then they don't ever do you wrong after that. Okay, so I forgive you. But that other one, that one that's still up to no good, even though they said, I'm sorry, please forgive me, and they're still doing you wrong, we can't have mercy on that type of person. We allow the consequences of sin to catch up to them. We go to the one true God and ask that the wrath of God deal with them accordingly. See, some people, they don't want to pray those prayers because they're so afraid something's going to come back on them. No, if I'm covered under the blood covering of Jesus and I know I didn't do my enemy wrong, my enemy did me wrong, there's nothing to be fearful of. 2 Corinthians 2:10-11, but one whom you forgive anything, I forgive also. For indeed, what I have forgiven, if I have forgiven anything, I did it for your sakes in the presence of Christ, so that no advantage would be taken of us by Satan, for we are not ignorant of his schemes. You see, the Apostle Paul and many of the other disciples, they were about the mission. They were about getting things done. They were not ignorant to the devil's schemes, but some of you all, you're ignorant to the devil's schemes because somebody pulled the wool over your eyes. Somebody put those rose-colored glasses so that you could not see the truth. If you got 50 some odd people saying to you, there's Judas, look at the track record, deceived all these women, deceived all these men, and you still want to believe that there's some good in this person, they got you right where they want you. Well, he told me the other day, I don't care what he told you. Well, she said, I don't care what she said. People always want to throw up the titles, always want to talk about, well, but they got a track record of deceiving people. They got a track record of being backstabbers. They got a track record of being gossips. They don't ever have facts to back up what they're saying. And you want me to believe or go along with or just be under the impression that he or she has changed because they gave you that impression? Oh, come on. You see, that's where I get upset with some folks. I mean, how much proof do you need? There's wives that turned on husbands, okay? Turned on them long time ago. Oh, but she had my back. She was ride or die. Then you find out when she's not in your life anymore. Are you sure about that? Especially if you done somebody wrong at some point and you never said you were sorry and you never changed. Oh, you'll have a Judas for life. Especially when that person's like a mad dog and they won't let go. You may have fell under so many snares dealing with that person and they're still not satisfied. I want him to suffer. I want her to suffer. You see? There are some Judases that they don't let go and they don't hang themselves. They just keep coming after and keep coming after until they end up in their graves. Lord Jesus, 2 Timothy 3:13 said, but evil men and impostors will proceed from bad to worse, deceiving and being deceived. How many times does he have to go to jail? Come out and then go back to jail again before he'll change. How much stuff does she have to lose before she will finally surrender and stop backstabbing folks? They keep going and they keep going. We got some people in the church. Matthew 24:24 says, for false Christs and false prophets will arise and will show great signs and wonders so as to mislead, right? That false front, pretending as if they're of love and light and hope and peace. They mislead, if possible, even the elect. Well, I thought that he was degreed. I thought he could see the writing on the wall. I mean, what's up with him? You see? They will be deceived. Matter of fact, some of them are deceived right now. There's going to be those signs where men are going to sit up there and say, that's Jesus. That's nothing but Jesus. That's God. Oh, I know it's God. Revelation 13 and 14, he performs great signs, right? Judas, he can perform great signs, right? Whoever that Judas might be. So that he even makes fire come down out of heaven to the earth in the presence of men. And he deceives those who dwell on the earth because of the signs which it was given him to perform in the presence of the beast, telling those who dwell on the earth to make an image to the beast who had the wound of the sword and has come to life. Satan is doing that. And he's using some of the most unlikeliest people to convince us that they are sold out for Christ, but it's nothing more than a false light with some of these entertainers. That's all it is. They worship the beast. So we got the Judas among us once again, and he is coming in all sorts of shapes, sizes, and forms, from the most beautiful to the ugly. Looking like a human being, but not really a human being. We got some Judases who work and work well, but they are working out a plan to bring some people down because, well, you're righteous and I don't like you. Or I forgot, you're one of those believers. Okay? So we've got to be prepared. The false prophets, the false teachers, 2 Peter 2, 1 through 3. But false prophets also arose among the people. Okay? In Jesus's day, there were false prophets that also arose among the people. Judas was among the group. Judas most likely was praying and he was, just doing the types of things that Jesus was telling them all to do. And Jesus knew that Judas was going to turn. And some of you all, Judas could be working, doing all the things that you're doing. Okay? Working well, as I said earlier, but a false prophet. Just as there will also be false teachers among you who will secretly introduce destructive heresies, even denying the master who bought them, bringing swift destruction upon themselves. Did you notice that there's going to be swift destruction? Many will follow their sensuality, and because of them, the way of the truth will be maligned. And in their greed, Judas was greedy, they will exploit you with false words. Their judgment from long ago is not idle, and their destruction is not asleep. So rest in that. Because some of you all are like, okay, I know Judas is around, but is there anything that's going to happen to this person? Yes, there is. But he seems like he's winning, or she seems like she's getting over, and everybody's deceived and thinks that she's such a wonderful, or he's such a great. The truth always comes out. Always. I've seen it time and time again. That's why I don't care about what people say. Like some folks are like, aren't you concerned that, this is being said or that's being said? Why am I going to be concerned? This is your own family, blah, 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 blah. Look, I'm not concerned because just as I opened up my Bible a long time ago, went to the one true God, they can do the same thing. Just like I said, Lord Jesus, I just want to draw near to you. I don't want to draw near to men. I don't want to draw near to women. I want to draw near to you. They could do the same thing instead of being Judases, instead of being disrespectful, instead of saying that people's crazy or people's stupid or people don't know what they're talking about, because God's listening. And I'm sorry, but that type of conversation is not is not allowed. Okay, it is prohibited. You are not to do that to the people of God. But some folks still haven't caught on because there's so many false prophets talking about touch not thy anointed and all this other stuff. But meanwhile, the real prophets, you are not supposed to be talking crazy and doing disrespectful things and saying things behind their back or being Judases and turning against them, pretending like you're friends when you're really foe. Right? But we know some people like this. Just give their names over to the one true God and keep it moving. Now we need to spot and stop manipulators because Judas would fall under that, okay? Whoever your Judas might be. 8 tips for keeping them at a distance or breaking free. Now, some of you all, you've heard me say this time and time again, but you need psychologytoday.com to confirm it. So here we are. And I like Preston Nee. He has wrote other articles that were very beneficial, and I'm going to pull this up. Psychological manipulation can be defined as the exercise of undue influence through mental distortion and emotional exploitation with the intention to do what? As we've said in other audio, to seize power, control, benefits, and privileges at the victim's expense. So why would Judas jump through hoops? Why would Judas do all of these sorts of things? Because Judas is after something, okay? Most manipulative individuals have 4 common characteristics. Look out for them. They know how to detect your weaknesses. I've said this in other audio. I've quoted this article before. Once found, they use your weaknesses against you. Through their shrewd machinations, they convince you to give up something of yourself in order to serve their self-centered interests. And in work, social, and family situations, once a manipulator succeeds in taking advantage of you, he or she will likely repeat the violation until you put a stop to the exploitation. You got to put a stop to the exploitation. If you don't want to keep being played by this person who you suspect is a Judas, or it has been revealed, you cannot continue to feed that Judas, continue to shelter that Judas. You cannot be the one who continues to sleep with that Judas. You cannot be the one that continues to buy that Judas. As my grandmother said, you cannot buy love. But some people try. And so this is why they get the upper hand, because some of you all, you just refuse to see that there is this person among you who has a demonic influence that may be in and around them, and you think that you can continue to work with them in a worldly way, and meanwhile it's spiritual. It's a spiritual battle. So you've got to beware in Ephesians chapter 6, and if you haven't read that, please do. I won't get into it in this audio, but I will tell you that you have rights. God didn't create any fool. You have rights, okay? So you need to exercise your right. You need to be treated with respect in a relationship. Okay, for instance, you have every right to express your feelings, your opinions, and wants. You got some of these relatives who say, you don't need to say this, you don't need to say that, you're this and you're that. I don't care what names they call you. At the end of the day, you have every right to express your feelings about someone or something. You know, as long as it's valid, it's righteous, you know what the Lord has put upon your heart, there's nothing wrong with that. You can set your own priorities. You don't need to be putting everybody's priorities over your own, especially when you know you are married and you have children, okay? But some folks will try to do that in a slick way. These are just also some signs too that you can pay attention to, that this person is self-centered. They're, you know, after something. They, you know, are taking advantage of you, right? Judas will take advantage of you as well. Judas will lie. Judas will take advantage. Judas will use power and control. Judas will devalue you in some way while esteeming his or herself. Judas will discredit you. Judas will steal from you. Judas will cheat on you. Judas will manipulate you into giving up something like money or your children. Okay? This Judas of a person will look for benefits in throwing you under the bus. So you've got to be that one that knows your rights. You have a right to take care of yourself and protect your family, okay? You know that this person is showing his or her whole card. You have every right. You can say no without feeling guilty. No, I'm not doing that. Sorry. What? What do you mean? You hurt me. There may be some hell to pay, but you stood up for yourself. Okay? You keep your distance when you know somebody is manipulating you, when they're being, you know, just showing all sorts of faces in front of different people. You can see it sometimes. Maybe they haven't come to you yet, but you can see how they're playing people. Uh-oh, I see he's on his way. He's about to try something with me. Distance yourself. Okay? Avoid personalization and self-blame. Since the manipulator's agenda is to look for and exploit your weaknesses, it is understandable that you may feel inadequate or even blame yourself for not satisfying the manipulator. In these situations, it's important to remember that you are not the problem. You are not the problem. Okay? You're simply being manipulated to feel bad about yourself. So when you start having these standards, when you start exercising your rights, when you start telling this Judas that you're not going to be, ride or die with him or her no more, okay, they're going to want to come at you. They're going to want to attack you, and they're going to want to, say all sorts of bad things about you and then make you feel bad and, all sorts of stuff. Do not allow them to do that to you. Because, see, the whole plan is, like what Preston Nee says in his article, if they can do that to you, then you're more likely to surrender your power and your rights. See, if I make you feel bad about yourself, you're going to be like, you know what? Yeah, you got a point. Okay, let me just keep doing this for you then. I mean, because I shouldn't, look, I want you out of the situation. This isn't about making you feel bad. I want you out of the situation that's keeping you bound, that's keeping you away from the one true God. I want you to draw near to him because it is him who's going to see you through. It is him that is going to make your remaining years on this planet more fulfilling, okay? More at peace. But we draw to men and women and then we want somehow some type of everlasting happiness. Keep dreaming. Put the focus on them by asking probing questions. That manipulator, that Judas, that one that you suspect. Let me see. Let me see. What you just asked me, does that sound reasonable? Just think about it. I mean, if the shoe was on the other foot. Okay, now you want me to do what? Now, that doesn't seem fair to me because look at all of the other things that I've done for you. You see? Well, I mean, you're planning on everything, right? You're telling me I should do this, this, that, and the other. You're saying that we're going here. You're saying that we're going to be there at this particular time. I mean, do I have a say in this? Wait a minute, wait a minute. You just told me. Are you asking me or are you telling me? Because it sounds like you're telling me. And if you're telling me, it also sounds like you're trying to control me. All right, so I hear all of what you're getting out of this. Uh-huh, you're getting a lot. But what am I getting? What am I getting? You see? Oh, there you go. Somebody's about to come up out of their foolishness. Yes. Now, wait a minute. Are you really expecting me to do that? Come on now. You know me better than that. I'm not going to do that. Now, argumentative or violent Judas, the manipulator, is going to say, wait a minute, wait a minute. What do you mean? What are you talking about? No, you're going to do this for me or else. Oh, is that how we going to do this? Oh, we going to do it like this? You see, there's the intimidation, there's a moving in on you. You got to be ready. If this individual is that type of person, you need to have witnesses. You don't need to be nowhere with this person by yourself. Matter of fact, you should have had your exit plan prepared yesterday. All right? Use time to your advantage. How can you get this man or this woman who's a bit, controlling and pressuring you? Just tell them you'll think about it. Okay? Let me think about it. I don't know. Right? Oh, but this is going to be a good opportunity. Or, you know what, honey, we've been wanting to plan this. And I mean, in the past, you talked about it. And then meanwhile, you're saying to yourself, yeah, in the past, when I was naive, when I was stupid, but I'm not that no more. So I'm going to think about it. And meanwhile, you're thinking about it is really, no, I'm not. And you can say no over the phone or you can send no via text. Make sure you're safe. Know how to say no diplomatically but firmly. You heard me say no, right? But I said no. Okay? Not, oh, come on. No. Is that convincing? Of course not. So, of course, Judas is going to keep coming at you and want you to be a part of something or want you to do something with him or her. You keep playing. Well, I don't know. I'm just trying to figure some things out. Really? So you're going to confront these bullies. You're going to do it safely. You're going to set consequences. If this person continues to be disrespectful and they're violating your boundaries, you're going to simply say, okay, you know what? This isn't going anywhere. I thought that we were going to be able to work this thing out, but it's obvious that we're not. You want to argue, and I don't have to put up with this. And so your name doesn't go on anything. You don't make a contribution. You don't stay in the household with that argumentative, crazy making, threatening person. You make arrangements to be gone. Move on. Judas, you see him, you know how he operates, you see her, you know what he or she or you know the group is up to. Don't fall prey. And forget about that name calling, all that fighting and trying to defend yourself because they called you a name. That's worthless. Utilize your energy in getting away from that person. Okay? Well, I thank you as always for taking time out of your busy schedule to listen. And thank you so much for your support too. Those of you all who have just given in so many different ways, sharing the audios, the videos, blessings to you. Please do check the description box for anything that might be of interest. You've been listening to YouTube NM Enterprise 7. You can also give in the box as well. And thank you some more. I hope that this message has been informative.